Good Monday morning, everyone. Oh my goodness. My hot tub is up and fully functioning, and we're going to dive into that when we talk about the weekend. But you guys listening to Author Talk with me, Amy Russell, and our lovely author guest today is Nathan. So, you guys, let's talk into this past weekend, okay? One, on the 17th was my nephew's 16th birthday. So happy birthday or late birthday to him. And my other niece's birthday is coming up for Emma. So happy early birthday to her. On top of all of that, you guys, this weekend, my hot tub is up and fully functioning. And I am having to play in testing the chemicals in the water. Okay.
You notice, Nathan, she didn't say she's getting into it because it's like 110 degrees down
Okay,
here. And she's not
listen.
going to actually be able to use it for like 3 more months.
No, I'm
Nathan.
going to get my ass in it. I'm not lying. I'm going to get in it just to prove a point. But we're doing like
It's too hot. It's too
chlorine
hot.
free one. And so I'm having to learn like bromine and all of these other freaking chemicals. Now, Nathan, I graduated college and high school, not ever taking a chemistry class. So I'm really lucky that my husband is a chemical engineer and took a lot of chemistry because I don't know what any of these things are. So he is helping me do it. But in his mind, it's my responsibility since I bought the hot tub. But little does he know it will slowly gravitate towards him. And I'm just the enjoyer of it.
You don't
So
think he knows that?
I
Everything
know.
gravitates to him.
I know.
Nathan, this is crazy. She starts whole house projects. She starts like 10% of it. And she does it while he's out of town. Then he gets into town. She says, finish it.
Uh,
Generally.
you know, I want to interject something here. I have a hot tub up here too. I live in the lake country in northern
Right.
Minnesota.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
different world than where she
Oh,
lives.
different world. And we have a hot tub that basically is a wooden pickle barrel that we pump lake water into up from the lake.
That's
Okay.
beautiful.
And then you light a fire inside the hot tub. We have a wood fire, a smokestack in the hot tub, and we don't put chemicals in there. It's lake water.
Nice.
How
It's
often
amazing.
do you use that, Nathan?
Well, the grandkids like it because the lake
Because I'm
water.
a cynic. I don't believe you actually use it.
Oh yeah, we use it. It's pretty good. We use it all the time, but you have
Yeah.
to like making a fire and playing around with all the controls.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's beats having to learn all these chemicals. I'll tell you, he
I
had
don't
me
know how
out.
you can have a hot tub in Texas in our heat and humidity and not use chlorine because it would get moldy and nasty in 20 hours. How do
Well,
you do that?
listen, I don't know, but I don't put chlorine in my cold plunge. It's just bromine, and it lasts like 3 months before I have any issues with it. Not that I even have issues with it because it has a pump that circulates it. And then
Yeah.
if things get off, then I put a bromine tablet in it and I level it with acid. But it lasts like 3 or 4 months before I either have to do anything again. So I don't know. It's a big gamble, and we're gonna try it. But Nathan, it's not that okay. It's hot down here, but it's where I'm at. It's not as humid as where he's at. And
It's so gross. I
my
live in
hot
a
tub only
swamp.
goes to 104, so it's not that bad. And I will get in it because I wanted the damn thing. So I will sit in it to prove a point. I am very much headstrong like that. But other than that, you guys, it has been fun. So sadly, my kids are getting ready to go back to school, which is always like a bittersweet moment for me. So I'm having to like slowly do back to school shopping, which I'm not super excited about. But I do plan every summer since we moved into this new house. My kids have a bunch of friends on the street in the street over. And so every summer since we moved here, I've done a movie night outside with like the projector and little inflatable pools. And they all go get one of my kids' Smushmallows because Lord knows my kids have a whole freaking closet of Smushmallows. So all these kids go upstairs and they grab a Smushmallow and they go and get in the pool. And there's no water. It's just an inflatable pool to watch a movie. And so this summer, we're going to do the Mario Galaxy movie. And I'm trying to figure out how, like, one, what weekend I'm going to do it. But two, how I'm going to do it outside when the sun doesn't set till 8:30 without having the movie start at 9. So it may be inventive. Maybe I'll like move all that stuff upstairs. I don't know. But I was pondering and talking with the kids' parents this weekend about, hey, like, how can we do this? What should we do? Do you have any ideas? So that was my weekend in a nutshell. And you guys know already, I boycotted laundry. I put the same load in and started it probably twice on Saturday and then eventually folded it. So I am just on strike from laundry. But other than that, that was a very simple weekend for me. So what all did you guys do this weekend? Nathan, do you want to go first?
Well, I watched the smoke blow by. I live by the Boundary Waters canoe area in northern Minnesota, and it's full of forest fires.
Oh no.
So it's kind of foggy and smoky here. But in my own front yard, I'm trying to kill some gophers. We got gopher mounds all over the place. And if you saw the movie Caddyshack, we have Varmint Kong here. And I spent the weekend trying to get rid of some gophers, and it wasn't much fun.
Oh man. See, this is again, I could never live up north. I couldn't do it. I only know of the animal you're talking about because of Caddyshack. So kudos to you, because I don't know if I could do that. That and snow, I just couldn't do.
Well, we've had you talk about your hot tub. We sit in the hot tub up here on those November days when you have snow piling up on top of your head.
Oh man.
So we like it, but
yeah,
we like it for 3 seasons, not 4.
Oh man. See, I don't know. I'm a heat girl through and through. I can take, 75 and below is a little cold. Not that I'm like bundled, but when we have the 2 days out of the year, if it's not Ice Mageddon down here, that it's 32, I am just a very unpleasant person. I don't like that. I prefer to be hot. I can always cool down. I cannot always warm up. Well, I guess now I can with my hot tub. As long as it's working, I can't always warm up. So I may become a cold fan. I don't know. But I do. Kudos to you guys, because I don't know how anyone up north survives the winters.
Amy, you're going to love this winter in
yes.
College Station with your hot tub.
I know.
Because what Nathan describes is so wonderful. And we're going to get into where Nathan lives and some of his projects. I have a few questions about it.
Well,
But
Russell,
before I
what
start,
did you do?
One of the great things people don't know about Houston is it has some of the greatest international food in the whole world.
It does, yeah.
It's stunning because there's over 66 languages spoken within the city limits of Houston. It's very international. And it's always been that way, unknown to the rest of the world, because it's an oil town. So people come from all over the world. And so I came across something on Facebook about a Chinatown food tour. And yeah, I take food tours. I've taken food tours in Rome and uh, Beijing and Tokyo. It never occurred to me to take one in my own town. And I thought, what a great idea. So I did a Chinatown food tour we did this weekend. It was spectacular.
Oh, fun. I like that.
I need next to thank our listeners. Nathan, we do this every week. We're top 1% on Good Pods, top 10% in independent author in podcast on other channels. And we've been on the air for 10 years, not all those years on the podcast channels, just the last couple, but for the last 10 years. And we really want to thank people for listening to us. Also, you can go to our YouTube channel and watch for the last 10 years. And if you're there, if you will push the promote button, we'd very much appreciate it. It'd give other people a chance to see us. And Amy, where can people find us?
Yeah, so you guys listen. If you want to see how we started and the video
Which were
and
terrible.
the great
Nathan,
quality that we
were the
produced,
worst.
It was fun. It was so much fun to do. It was the first time I had met Russell in person. It was just a lot of fun. You have to go back and watch those, but you can go to our YouTube channel. Like Russell said, you can subscribe and you can see all of our videos and our content and our upcoming shows. On top of that, there's our Facebook group that you can go, any one of our social media channels But if you are a podcast listener like me and my husband, you can go over to Spotify, Amazon, Apple, Google Play, any place that you can search for a podcast. Type in Author Talk and look for the Crimson, Red, and Gold, and you will find us in all of our episodes. But if you like watching us, you guys, I'm telling you, I am not one to go back and rewatch our episodes. That's not me. But Russell loves to repost them and our older ones in our group. So if you want to stay up to date, you can go over to our Facebook group. But I'm telling you, you will have the best time going to our YouTube channel and just seeing how we have evolved. We also do shorts over there, clips from our episode in the week. So you can also check all of that out. But let's get Nathan talking about Otto's Portal and his writing journey. But before we dive into that, I know Russell also has some questions. So Russell, let's get Nathan talking about the summary of Otto's Portal before you ask him your questions. So
Okay.
Nathan, tell us a little bit about Otto's Portal.
Well, Otto's Portal is about the confluence of history and science and theology and the struggle between good and evil. And to start the story, I had a Catholic priest at the beginning, and I used an aging scientist who was near his own death, contemplating his own death. And he realizes that when he dies, like so many other cultures around the world, he believes that he has a soul which will leave his body when he dies. And then he begins to theorize, well, he's a theoretical physicist. What's been holding my soul onto my body this whole time? Why doesn't it just drift away? And he theorizes that there is an actual force in physics, like gravity or electromagnetism or the strong and weak nuclear force, that's been holding his soul onto his body all these years, all of our soul onto our body, something that not even Einstein theorized. And he discovers a way to describe it and quantify it. And that gets him into the struggle between good and evil.
Wow. So it sounds like it's a very deep, conceptual book.
Yes.
So how did the idea for this storyline kind of come to you?
Well, it came over a few years. I think thoughts like that, so I gave them to this old scientist. And what I did was started off with several unrelated historical events that everybody has heard of them. And I used my own imagination or insight to connect the dots. And as I connected the dots, I kept introducing characters that are basically every good story is the Wizard of Oz. These people are all seeking something. And for most of them, it's redemption. And, we like our heroes kind of flawed. So I introduced a Catholic priest who's maybe hiding from his own past, and a woman physician who's seeking enlightenment, and these two older scientists. So it's a long story, and I took the long way around the barn connecting all these historical events, and I had great fun with that. But at the end, it's basically the struggle between good and evil.
So, okay. So every writing journey, I feel like, is different for every author, but for every book that they've wrote. And you've wrote many books. You're an award-winning author. So was your process for this book, since it is a deep conceptual book, was your process for this book different than all your other processes for your other books, or was it generally the same?
Oh, it was much different. On the other books, I mean, how far back can I go here?
However far you want to. If they're all different, that's great. If this one was the one that kind of was the black sheep of it, because it was the most different, just your whole writing journey.
Well, it would maybe be the black sheep is not quite accurate, but not so far off. When I was much younger, I used to be a dentist when I was young, for a long time. And a few years back, my father was dying. And I would take my Fridays and go sit with Dad in the nursing home, and I read to him. And then I started thinking, well, I'm going to read something that I wrote. So I started to write a story about two men in a duck boat. And because Dad and I did a lot of that when I was a boy. And Dad died when I was on about page 30. So for whatever reason, I don't know, I never wanted to be a writer. I thought I'd finish that story. I've always been the guy that sat around the campfire and you have your hands and your eyebrows and you can tell the story and tone of voice. When I wrote this, I started to continue this story just because. And two things happened along the way. I got closure with my dad and I rediscovered the written word. When you tell a story with your hands, your voice, you got a lot of tools there. When you try and write a story, all you got is your number 2 lead pencil or your word processor, and you better know how to use words. When I was a freshman in college, back in my day, when you were a freshman in college, you took an entrance exam, and you were either placed in advanced English or bonehead English. And I was bonehead English, right where I belong. And I remember my professor had a great quote. He said, if you think you want to be a writer because you think you have something to say, you're never going to make it. But if you want to write because you like words, well, you got a chance. So that's what I discovered was I kind of liked using the written word to tell a story. It changes for everyone, but as a high school kid, I read a book called Last of the Mohicans. I loved the story, but I hated the English. I mean, it's hard. I'm sure you guys have read it. It's hard to read. It's like Moby Dick. But then you start to read other books where the language is much more pleasant to read. And maybe I came off the rails there, but that's my story. Waiting for White Horses was the result of this cathartic thing. And it won a National Book Award. It was Best New Author in Fiction, Ben Franklin Award. And that kind of changed things. So I decided to write another and another, and they've all done very well. We're on the 14th printing right now for White Horses.
Wow.
Yeah, it's doing very well. But when I came to Otto's Portal, well, that was a little different. Up until that, I had written about a broken heart and sorrow and grief and love and loss and redemption. Otto's Portal, I worked in a lot of actual history in there, and I had fun telling that story. There. How'd I do?
I think you did really great. You need to wander into those kind of tangents on the rest of your answers because there was a lot of beautiful wisdom and words in your answers. That's a good job.
Well, I like your journey to becoming a writer, right? I was in bonehead English too, because I didn't take my, entrance exam I knew where I was going, so I didn't take it seriously. So, I was in all remedial classes and I had this great GPA and I was really thriving. So I can relate to that 100%. I didn't really start the love for reading until later in life. Like now I read, genuinely read or listen to up to 10 books at a time, and then I'm at 34, so it didn't start till late in my 20s that I kind of developed my love for reading. Now I will never be a writer because I know what all goes into it and the stress of it, because I do the marketing for it, and I'm going to stick with the marketing for it. But I have this admiration for people that can write like you and Russell, and just the journey behind how you became a writer and how it's changed and evolved over the years. So I want to dive into, before I take it and let Russell run with it, because then I won't get to talk again, is how it's going to happen, is I'm really curious to learn. I love the history and the understanding it. What was your process and your, timeline in terms of the historical facts, and how deep did you have to go in the timeline that you had in this book?
Well, I don't have a deadline. I write when I want to, and I write when I feel it. So I started with these historical events that I knew about, and all I could do was go to the internet and research who was
Right.
actually there, what actually happened, and then if you can think, you start to realize that, well, maybe there was other stuff going on that we're not supposed to know about, and that's where the imagination came in. I added my own spin to some of these stories. So on the back of the book, one of the comments I made was, "This is a true story. It just hasn't happened yet." And
Nice.
that's kind of where it's at. So, yeah, I had to research the history of it. But in my many long years, I've run into so many people who start to tell stories about what they saw and what they did. I had a patient one time in the dental chair that was talking about his earlier life, and he was a radiologist, and he told me that when he was first starting in life, he was a nuclear physicist, and he was supposed to be driving the submarine, the Thresher. You ever heard of the Thresher?
No.
Well, he was supposed to be on board that day, and he wasn't through some snafu. The Thresher was a nuclear submarine that sank on its maiden voyage, and everyone was killed. Well, that's a fascinating story. And then at that point, then you're kind of free to add your own, to give that story to somebody else. And that's the way I researched this and put the story together.
See, that's okay. So I watch a lot of documentaries and historical shows. I'm big into like the pyramids and the Egyptian time period. That's my kind of realm like of history that I love to watch and enjoy. But I feel like if I was going to write a book, Nathan, not that I am, but if I ever was, it would be like it'd have historical elements to it, probably during that time period that I enjoy. Kind of like you enjoy kind of rabbit holing down that story and like everything. That's what I would do. I definitely would never be like an outliner, like a plotter. I just would write it and hope that it made sense. Grammarly would have to be my friend on that. But I can just relate to how you structured that. And I feel like it's something that a lot of writers do in the historical realm, because they write about the time period they enjoy, but they like rabbit holing down kind of their like articles and things that they find. But I can tell Russell is just chomping. That's why he's been muted and unmuted. So I'm gonna let Russell ask his questions before I interrupt to come back. So Russell, go.
I got one thing to say about your journey.
Yeah.
As you write this stuff, I didn't say this, but it's a great quote. The difference between fiction and nonfiction is that fiction has to be believable.
That's true.
Think about that one for a while.
Yeah, I do prefer fiction over nonfiction, just because the possibility of like what if or if it could really happen. Yeah. I do. Yeah, I don't know. I read a lot of different books, though. So, Russell, you can ask your questions now.
Okay, well, I have a few writer's questions I got to ask you, and then I want to ask you some questions about your life, because listeners always want to know more about who the author is before they pick their books. So we really want to go down both those. But first, what books are you reading right now, Nathan? What do you read?
Well, right now, my wife and I read to each other each night for a little while. We sit on the couch and read for about a half an hour. She reads, then I read. And we just finished To Kill a Mockingbird for the second time. We read John Adams this winter. That took a long time, by the way.
That took the whole winter.
Yeah.
Your winter, not a Texas winter.
Yeah. And, the language in John Adams is that flowery 17th, 18th century stuff. My wife kind of likes that. I don't care much for that.
I hate it.
Yeah. But
I hate it.
But, the book is well written. It's pretty good.
Right.
Jeepers. Yeah. I'm all over the place in what I read, too. I try to I just read, go back and read some oldies. I read East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I find that when I read those kind of stories, I'll read Steinbeck and I'll come to a sentence and I'll think, damn, that was a good sentence. I wish I would have said that. So that's kind of what I look for. It isn't so much the story, it's how the teller tells it.
And how do you feel Uh, so I want to go to your writing after that, what you just said, because I think that was telling and perceptive. So, do you ever have a day when you're writing where you write a sentence and you say, that's a good sentence?
Sure.
Okay, well, I have a
No.
there's a second question to that. So the
Okay.
next morning when you wake up and you reread that sentence, do you ever just do you still say it's a great sentence, or do sometimes you scratch it out and go to the
Oh,
start over?
I've said that many times. You go to bed and you think, damn, I'm pretty good. You wake up the next morning and read it, and it's like, whoa, well, that's terrible. And you scratch it. And it isn't just a sentence, it might be 20 pages that you
Uh,
just nonsense. And
right.
yeah, it
I've
happens.
done it with 7 chapters.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
50 pages was my longest spurt of
That's huge.
yeah, yeah. But if you read your own work and you don't like it, it's pretty hard to expect somebody else to like it.
Yeah. So, uh, what do you plan your books out? The book that we're talking about, did you have it charted out before you started? Did you have a finish to it? You describe it as a mystery, and I'm going to ask the compound question: is if your answer is no, you did not outline it before you wrote, then how do you get to the ending?
Well, if you're a writer, you know about this. You write the story, excuse me, and all of a sudden you find it's just not working. And it's not working because some character is telling you, I'm not doing that, what you just wrote.
Amy has heard writers talk about that for years.
Yeah, I thought that was nonsense when I was the
Yeah.
book I wrote. I thought, well, that's just stupid. But you get to know your characters, and they'll stop you and tell you, Jorgie, I'm not doing that. That doesn't work for me. And you take a 180, and it's like, okay, thank you. That's what I would do. So that happens all the time.
Do
Or
your characters ever start saying things that you did not want them or intend them to say?
sure, sure, and they're usually right.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. It
What's the answer to planning versus pantsing then?
well, I think you have to have an outline in mind. I've
Thank
only
you.
read one book on how to write, and the author of the book that I wrote years ago, he said you make an outline, detailed outline, and you put post-it notes all over, and you get yourself all ready to go, and then you take all that crap and throw it off your desk, and you just write your story. And you might think you know where you're going, but once the whatever creative process there is takes hold, you just go where the story's taking you. At least that's my spin on it.
That's been my very exact experience. So, uh, tell us about this book. What are you proudest about in the book? What's the proudest thing you feel about?
Whoa, nobody ever asked me that. Um, Man, I think if it isn't just one thing, it's kind of the way it all came together. I struggled with the ending of this book for, I shouldn't even tell you. I bet I struggled with the end of it for 10 years. I picked it up and put it down several times while I did other things. And I didn't know how to end it. I didn't know what the end should be. And so then I got back to it, and the end just kind of showed itself. So, boy, I don't know if there's any one thing. I guess I like the way I took, like any good story, there's two or three different stories that weave through it, and then you bring them together. And I think I did okay on that. So that would probably be it. The way it ended.
So, what's the secret thing you're really trying to say? Let me give you an example. So, I wrote a few short stories, children's short stories about animals. And this real secret that I was trying to communicate was I was writing so that these children that read my stories would love the greater African fauna the way I do, hoping to pass it on to the next generation to protect those great animals like rhinoceroses, elephants, etc. Uh, in your book, what is the underlying message or lesson you're really trying to communicate?
Well, in the other books, what I was trying to do, what I've always felt about writing and reading was when you come to that last page of a good novel, and it doesn't happen very often, you turn that last page and you think, damn, I'm going to miss these people. I wonder what they're going to do now.
Yeah.
With this one, well, I would like to have accomplished that too. But my goal was that, if I really had a goal, was for the reader to flip that last page and stop and say, I'm going to have to think about this one for a while. Because this is for people who think and for people who wonder about what's going on in the cosmos and what's going on in here. And it's flawed characters who are seeking redemption, like we all are.
So that's interesting. You say flawed characters. What flaws does your protagonist have?
Well, there are several protagonists.
Whichever one you want to speak of, the one you love the most, tell me about that one.
Okay. The one I liked the most was a Catholic priest who's he has something that happened that he did early in life that he's repented for, but it bothers him, and he's somehow seeking resolution for what he did. But he's the one who explains something to another protagonist, and this guy creates an example for Otto's portal. He believes that the surface of a trout stream represents a great analogy for Otto's portal. It's where two dimensions or two worlds meet. You can walk up to a trout stream and look down there, and you can see other living things down there, but you can't go there and live. And they can look up and see you, but they can't come here and live. And we know that dimension exists, and right at the borderline is the surface where you can reach in there and hurt those other beings. And it's two worlds. You can cause them to hurt themselves, but you can't go there. And it's kind of where two worlds meet. And that's the same thing that the aging scientist comes along and he gets entangled with the priest at some point, and they are both seeing the world the same way and don't know it yet.
I think that is a beautiful example. I've actually used the stream as a metaphor to explain other philosophies. So I very much appreciate the way you said that. I think that's a perfect way. So how many antagonists do you have in this book? And what are does the readers ever feel attracted to your antagonist? Are you attracted to your antagonist? My antagonist in one of my books is the one I love most. That's why I asked that.
The antagonist is...
And who is it? What's the name of that character?
Well, the antagonist doesn't have a name. It's it's evil, but it's kind of like the shark in the movie Jaws. You know it's there, and you see it coming in bits and pieces from some of the characters, but it's basically evil, and it kind of goes unspoken until right at the end. So there's a protagonist that's a priest. There's a protagonist that's a female physician who is seeking knowledge, and she gets involved with the priest, not in a girlfriend kind of way. And there's a couple aging scientists who were part of something that happened long ago and don't know they've been entangled with good and evil. And there's a wealthy industrialist who's about to make a Faustian bargain with Satan. And I just covered about 400 pages there. So
Okay. I have to ask you a couple other questions. From reading your bio about your outdoor life. Tell us where you live in northern Minnesota. You talk about, I know in your bio you live in northern Minnesota. You say you live by a lake where your hot tub is, and you have in your bio you mentioned that you you have a big outdoor life. Tell us a little bit about it. Let the readers know who you are.
well, I've lived here my whole life. I'm an outdoorsman,
Yeah, but what does
fishing.
that mean to you? That's different than something in Houston.
Oh, well, I'm looking out into a forest right now and a lake right out there. And I have a boat down in the lake that I go fishing in with my wife pretty much every day.
Wow.
And I always remember a quote by Henry David Thoreau that says, many men go fishing their whole life and don't realize it's not fish they're after. There's something about the woods and the water that is sort of leads into something a little bit deeper. So, yeah, I'm a deer hunter. I'm a duck hunter. We eat what we kill. Um, I love the woods. We walk in the woods when my wife and I go for a walk right out there on that path right there. We're likely to see a bear about once a week at close range, and we have loons. You'll hear loons and eagles and see it right out here. So if you're paying attention, you see a lot of life going on out there that you got to wonder about. I don't know if that's a very good
Do you
answer.
chop you? That is
A
exactly.
bear? Wait, a bear? Like a bear, and you're just cruising and walking?
Yeah, these are black bears. They're kind of like 400-pound raccoons. So
Right. They're not
they're
grizzlies.
not man
I
eaters, but it'll give you pause. When you come around the corner and there's a black bear that weighs about 400 standing there, you're going to stop and look. But
And so does he, by the way.
pardon me?
I'm
Yeah, the black
bolted.
bear doesn't want
Oh,
anything to do with you
no,
either.
they want to go away. So
Oh, well, I'm just gonna run. Like I just see again, I'm not built for the north. I think it's cool that you get to see
I
them,
think
but
it's
I'm
incredible
startled. I'm
description.
just startled at the fact that you see bears on your walk and it's like nonchalant. But I guess it's like, I, I guess it's kind of like us and like the heat. It's just
yeah, it's
nonchalant.
where I
Or
live.
you walk along a trail, Amy, and see a rattlesnake.
Oh
You're
yeah,
not
or like a
shocked.
Yeah,
like a king coral snake. Like I have
Yeah.
those and like a
yeah.
So you
rattlesnake.
just turn
Okay,
and go.
but still, I just
Other people would see a rattlesnake and freak out.
Yeah,
Here, oh, avoid that. Go around it.
pretty much. Yeah.
So Nathan, in the winter, do you chop your own wood? Is that a thing? Do you have one of a big axe that you love?
No, I
Are
don't.
you're smart? You buy it
Yeah, I'm too old for that. Those days are gone. Well, I have it. We have a chainsaw that we keep in the truck, in the car all the time because
in the car.
in the back in the trunk of the car because when we drive down our driveway, which is about a half a mile long, it's not infrequent that we have to cut up a dead tree and pull it off the road because it's blown over in the woods. So
And you
everybody,
dry that wood out. Is that the wood you use during the winter?
no, I have somebody drop off a couple cords of wood, but
Well,
we
that's
we
no
burn wood.
fun.
We burn wood to heat our house in the winter, and it was wonderful.
Okay. That I wish that you do you have a couple of pictures you can share with you. Have something sitting over there you can show us your place? No?
Not
I
really.
wish you did. It sounds tremendous. Uh Amy, I give it back to you.
well, so my question, and it's going back to one that you had answered where you said, you turn the last page of your book and it's like you need to kind of sit, with these characters or you're kind of sad to see them leave. I've only had two books do that to me. One isn't published, and Russell knows which one that one is. And another one was a very dark, like psychological thriller. And it was the only book that I didn't see the ending coming.
Ooh,
like
that's
the big plot twist, and that I didn't see coming, and it ended up the person that was the bad guy the whole time really wasn't the bad guy, right? So I've only read 2 books like that my whole life. And so before we close this out, I'm curious, what book or books have you read that have done that to you, that inspired you to have your books do that for others, or hope that they do?
Oh, that's a great question, and uh, I don't know that I think like that. Uh, there have been so many that inspired bits and pieces, but as far as the ending of them, I think the other way around. When I read Stephen King's The Stand, it's about 1,200 pages. I got to the end and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I was lost. So um, I just don't think like that. But I know what you're getting at. I don't have an answer for that one.
Yeah. See, I honestly, I don't usually think like that either, but it was just, these are the 2 books that stuck with me the most, where I'm like, I can't get them out of my head, like the characters and the plot. And this one book, it's The Sacrifice. It's a really dark romance book, but it's the darkest book I've ever read. I wasn't into like any of the themes, but the plot stuck with me. The ending is really what stuck with me. And so that's why it like changed my whole view on it. So when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I've had 2 books that do that to me. So it's a unique experience, but it also, my friend Dina says it's like a book hangover, like you just never can get over that book.
Yeah.
Dina knows about that.
Yeah. So I was just curious. But I know that our listeners, as well as myself, and I know my husband is too, because he listens to me whether he admits it or not. Where can people find you? Where can they see all of the books that you've written? And where can they go and find Otto's Portal?
Well, Otto's Portal just went live yesterday on Amazon. So you can go there. It's going to take a little while, probably a couple of weeks before it'll be available at major bookstores. It's available at a couple of small bookstores right in our area. I'm doing my first book signing for Otto's Portal tomorrow. Actually, I'm doing it 3 days ago in Walker, Minnesota, and Park Rapids. So the book's available at local bookstores right around where I live here by Leech Lake, Minnesota. But basically, it goes live on Amazon now.
Nice. Do you have a website or anything that we can send people to?
NathanJorgenson.com.
Nice.
Facebook page. We're pretty easy to find.
I love it. Just type in your name and it's like everything pops up. And I love that. That means that your PR person is doing fantastic. Yeah. So I love to hear that. Well, Nathan, I want to thank you for taking time out of your beautiful landscape and your outdoorsy self to come and hang out and spend some time with me and Russell and let us kind of pick your brain about Otto's Portal and kind of dive deeper into it. So thanks for taking time out of your day today.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys, we all hope that you have a fantastic Monday, a great rest of your week. And until next Monday, bye for now, everybody.